Ross, we're excited. One plays two at GMHBA Stadium tomorrow night. It's Melbourne v the Cats, and some big team news. Look at some of the inclusions for this huge game, Ross. It's obviously Melbourne v Geelong. De Koning and Selwood come in for the Cats, and obviously Luke Jackson and Max Gawn come in for the Deems. Absolutely massive.
Well, both captains and two young superstars for each team, so really exciting. Looking forward to it.
And we love, Ross, you love what the Cats have done. They've made some significant changes this year.
Why they can, the Cats this year, why they can. And on the numbers, let's go to the numbers. They're a go-forward team now. They're not lateral, around. They've gone from 18th to 5th, kicks going forward. That's a bit like Richmond. Points from turnover, 6th to 1st, it's all green. Their attack, everyone said they're boring. Their top four attack and scores inside 50, efficiency, there's no one better than the Cats. And the reason for that, there's personnel changes. So De Koning replaced Henderson. Who was going to step up? Well, he has. He's taking the competition by storm. Stengel, the redemption story. Could be small forward, all Australian. He's replaced Al Haas, great inside 50 kicks. You've got Cameron playing up the field. He's had more entries this year inside 50 than he did all last year. You've got Isaac Smith playing half forward, and he's really creating, opening him up. And you've got Duncan off half-back, still getting his entries, and Atkins the bull inside. That's why the Cats can this year. And
now, Ross, let's take a look at what it looks like on field. And we're going back to a Richmond game where they really took the game on right from the start. Typically, we all know they would have went back and around, controlled the ball, but this is just up the corridor, a little bit more chaos, bit of ground ball. But the overlap run, and Henry, then he can create, and that's a really efficient goal through the corridor. They become a corridor, go-forward team. And not only they'll do it, they're still short kicks, uncontested marks, but here they'll look to go lateral around. But this is Cameron pulling the trigger up to centre half forward, catching them out. You get overlap run, you get to the open side. There's the Irishman. There's Stengel again, and that's why the Cats are a much improved version. We've got another contest, I think, but that was first quarter, and this is later in the game. And then we should have another clip coming here where they go. This is halfway through the last. Scores are level. They go to a contest. That's aggressive. So now they'll go to a contest. Brings in their runners, then Hawkins with his great vision. Open forward line because they're getting in there quick. So the numbers and the personnel have translated into this type of footy. This is creative Chris at his best. And that's why they've fallen short in finals in previous years, maybe not this year. I just wanted to highlight this man, Angus Brayshaw. So we all talk about Lever and we talk about May, but this guy's taken more intercept marks than any of those players this year, Ross. Third in the comp. So you see how smart he is. He realised if his man's running to a poor spot, he just leaves. Well, he's going to drop off him. His ability to read the cue. As soon as the ball leaves the hand, he starts reading it. Not only does he get there, his skill set, his body work, his anticipation is elite, and then he distributes the ball. Remember, he was a great inside mid and an All-Australian wingman. So he's just added another dimension. He's an unrestricted free agent, restricted. He's hot property, and the Cats need to take care of him. And Ross, an issue for Melbourne has been their scoring. So they lost 3 in a row. They were ranked 18th for 3 weeks with their entries to where they're scoring. And Petrarca last week, it was against the Adelaide Crows. He played forward, and he was involved in 46% of their scores, which is unhealthy in a sense. And you wonder, can they get away with playing him more forward against Geelong? Well, it's not sustainable, but was it a stroke of genius? I think they just went to the toolkit and say, he's a great player, put him forward and he'll make it happen. So you can see his skill set, the body work, the reading of the crumbs. Poor defence there, but his ability to convert off one step. So, look, the Cats will plan for that, but they're sort of number 1 defence and 6th attack. They need that. The Cats are sort of 3 and 4, so the Demons need to elevate. McDonald's not back. Maybe Petrarca stays more forward. I'm tipping the Cats in this one, Ross. Well, I've always been on the Cats. I'll stick with the Cats. Okay, huge. On Friday night, it's the Western Bulldogs and the Sydney Swans. A mini-elimination final, I think, particularly for the Western Bulldogs in this one. And, Ross, you're impressed with the midfield, but they're struggling at either ground. I've watched the Bulldogs all year. So they're number 3 attack and their 10th defence. But their midfield can't do any more. I watched them against Brisbane. They win the clearances, they win the centre bounce, they win the contested, and they go inside 50 more, but they're losing by 35 points. I think Bevo's got real headaches. Their 3rd attack, but it's sort of Norton or bust. They need Bruce back, but their defence is 10th, and we've identified this footage. They've become a collapse-back team. They're not putting any delay on the ball, and because their defenders play in front, they're getting picked apart and scored against it easily. They're number 12th in the AFL for... They average 12 marks in the forward 50 against. The best teams average 8. Brisbane took 16. 16 marks in their forward 50. This is a 50-metre penalty. It's taking about 5 or 6 seconds to get up.
And this is Bailey Dale versus McCarthy. And that's what's happening. There's no delay on the ball. They're playing assertive. They need to tweak their defensive system. He needs to start planning for next year. I think unless they fix their defence and they get some key defenders and tweak the pressure around the ball, they're going to stay around this mark.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ross. I'm really concerned about the Western Bulldogs. I don't think they're good enough to play finals this year the way they're playing. I want to highlight another issue they had last week. Here's Charlie Cameron. So he's playing up against Scott. So Anthony Scott, he's been a forward. So they've got no Duray, no Richards. So everyone will say, well, who else did they play on him? He had poor positioning on him. So I want to highlight what has happened to Jason Johannesson, the Norm Smith medalist back 4 or 5 years ago. He's just lost for mine in the forward line, Ross, and why not get him back to where he made his name as a player? I'm critical of Beveridge in that Ed Richards was a star half-back as a junior. He's been forward. Finally, they send him back this year and he's playing well. Why don't they give this guy a chance to recapture his form?
I think that's a good point. I didn't think of... Yeah. I thought, what's happened to Johannesson? He plays as a defensive forward, kicks a couple. But if you think Cameron's speed, there's only one player in the Bulldogs who could match him, and that's Johannesson, and he's one of Norm Smith off half-back.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why they're not putting there. Bevo will have reasons, but maybe he needs to revert.
He's getting 9 to 10 possessions a week. I think they need to make that move. And the last point, Liberatore. I'm saying go after him with Callum Mills. If you can cut out Libba, I think he's the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Dogs.
Well, the Swans need to break even and contest the ball to get their game going. They've been dominated, and Libba's a contested ball beast, clearance beast. I think Mills, I pumped him early in the year. He's gone a little bit cold. Give him a focus. Send him to Libba. Lead from the front and cut out a prime mover.
I'm going the Swans, Ross, at the SCG.
Well, I think they've got a more balanced game, defence and attack, and I think they get it done. The Bulldogs, are they going to contain Logan? Are they going to contain Franklin? Are they going to contain Heaney if Mills and that can break even? I don't think so. I'll go to the Swans.
Last game we're going to look at is St Kilda and Fremantle. It's going to be absolutely huge, this one, at Marvel Stadium, Ross, and you love their pressure from the first bounce.
Yeah, well, Carlton, the number one for disposal in the AFL. Docker's the number 2. So St Kilda, you got the model. This is what you did early in the year. This is the first bounce. Bodies flying. They just keep going. Carlton want to flick the ball around. You handball backwards and you turn it over, the opposition are out like this. So they set a tone early and they continued it all game, and particularly all the way just before the half-time. You can just see chase from behind, pressure from the front, until they turn it over and they create score opportunities. So, look, if they don't apply this heat, Freo will slice them. If they apply this heat, they can win the game.
They're one of those sides, Ross. I watched them against Essendon. They were off from the first bounce. You could see they were on. It's amazing. They're a Jekyll and Hyde side, St Kilda. When they play like this, they're very talented. This is the other aspect of St Kilda. The week before, they just were down the line. They played safe football. You watch, just straight down the line. Paddy McCartan, Tom McCartan loved it. That's not how you want to play. Versus on the weekend, Hill back in the team.
Well, the Roadrunner was back, and he's playing great footy. He was significant. Yeah. And Sinclair, the Swans took care of Sinclair, tagged him with young Clark. But when you've got 2 of these runners back, you've identified this ball use.
They had 1,100 metres game between them, and they start breaking the lines a lot better. I love when St Kilda play this way. I'm actually tipping them to beat the Fremantle Dockers playing in this fashion at Marvel Stadium.
Well, their confidence up. I think they get hold of the Dockers.